Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Well, we're having a government shutdown this week. Aren't you excited? I don't know if excited is the wrong word. But, you know, it could be interesting. It could be interesting. Well, let's go over to the chart saying, Rocks, Octavius, welcome. Oh, yes, it's ADP today, wasn't it? Well, what was the ADP? ADP, employment change. Wow. Okay, I see why that's so bad. Negative 32,000 versus an expected reading of 50,000. Yeah, that's not a very good reading. I can see why the treasuries would be up. Okay, so anyways, getting a good spike there. It puts us back into this range over here, but I think we still got a ways to go, you know, before we get back into the we're concerned about growth territory. Still some progress in that direction. And here we got the SPOOs taking a bit of a dump overnight off of the shutdown, starting and maybe recovering a little bit. Oil continuing under pressure. Again, it really seems like they just can't get above 65. Gold and silver. Well, they took a hit yesterday, but they've already recovered that in gold. Wowzer. And silver looking amazing. Not to 50, but we're getting there. Copper is starting to look a little bit better. They've held those gains from a couple of days ago, so could get interesting in copper. Japanese yen looking strong here, so it does look like, well, I'm not seeing too much weakness in the dollar. There's a little bit of weakness in the dollar off of this, which I think is kind of what we tend. Well, I don't know. Is this what we tend to see during a government shutdown? I'm not entirely sure. But we're definitely seeing some flight to safety in the Japanese yen, aren't we? And the treasuries did not move up as much. So that is very, very curious. And what about Bitcoin? Bitcoin extending a little bit. So they were in dire straits over here in Bitcoin. Then Michael Saylor bought a bunch and kind of brought it back to like unchanged on the month. And it looks like we've had another big jump overnight. Do you think that could be related to the shutdown? I'm not sure. Kind of interesting if it is. But we'll see. So, again, if you missed us yesterday, and I guess we have some more to say on the government shutdown, but in past government shutdowns, trading is difficult. The movements and correlation are just kind of messy and seemingly random sometimes. And so it can be very, very difficult to predict what it's going to do, has been my experience. Do I remember the upside targets it gave you for the 10-year yesterday? I don't remember. But let's come back here because I think we did end up touching them, didn't we? It was like, well, I don't know if anything's going to happen. And then in the end, we did push up like, oh, no, it was 22 half to 25 and they went right to 25 half. Yeah. So they did. And then they came back down. Yeah. It's really interesting to me that it's like, they inject just enough volatility to make sure that it hits those targets or something, you know? So I thought when we first started talking about this that, like, if I was going to do a statistical test or something, it would be like, what % of the time do they close outside of that range? Right? But I think now the test is, what % of the time do they just touch the upside range or the downside range during a session? Because I'm starting to think that it's almost like 90% of the time, yeah? Like, even when it's a really tight day, they still hit them. What do you mean by today is an interesting case for the 2s and 5s because we have out of range projected ranges? Is that to say that, like, when you start the projected range from the extended session, that we start the regular session outside of that range? Five has hit the first standard deviation. Well, but probably, you know, kind of a little bit of a special situation because of ADP, huh? Although, wouldn't that kind of suggest that they'll try to do some mean reversion? Not confident enough to say. Apparently, Schumer is talking, saying that Democrats will not be bullied into passing a bill. So, I think when we were talking about the shutdown thing yesterday, there was something kind of important to point out about this that I kind of, like, missed or kind of let myself get pulled off topic. So, normally the way that... Oh, he's on CNN again. Normally the way that this works is you come in and you have something that's, like, really amazing and, like, everybody would like a bill to stop puppies from being slaughtered, right? So, well, we need to ensure that puppies aren't slaughtered. And then you put something else in there that, like, the Republicans won't like, right? Like funding for healthcare for illegal immigrants, right? So then, of course, the Republicans won't pass it, and you come in and there's a shutdown. And then when there's a shutdown, you can say, see, Republicans don't want to stop slaughtering puppies. That's how much they love slaughtering puppies. So that's why the government is shut down, because Republicans won't give up slaughtering puppies, right? That's normally the way that you do this. And then you kind of have this pressure to try and pass the bill and get a deal on what you actually want. Something in the middle. You get rid of the puppies, you get or you still pass the puppies, you get rid of the poison pill, and then there's something else that they actually want in there, and that's how you make a deal, right? But that's not what the Democrat Party is doing this time. The Democrat Party this time, it's well, we want to have healthcare funding for illegal immigrants, but we don't want to have healthcare funding for rural hospitals. And then I think the other thing in there had to do with ICE, wasn't it? Those are the three things that I've heard. Anyways, like basically everything that the Democrats are asking for are all complete non-starters that no respectable Republican would ever go for, not even those people in the middle that are maybe not really actually Republicans, sort of a thing, right? So what's with that? Well, my only conclusion is that the intention of the shutdown is not to reach a deal on something. Like Republicans in the past, they have used government shutdowns to try and force the Democrats into passing a bill that the Democrats really don't want. And last time around, there was a showdown on it. They didn't really go. They got to the brink, and then the Republicans were like, this isn't going to work. They backed off. Same in 2018, was it? Government was shut down for a long time. And Republicans were really holding out for Democrats to cave in on something and get what they wanted in the budget and everything. And it basically just didn't happen. So that's one thing to note about government shutdowns that's kind of interesting, is that like government shutdown is like the one way to get leverage on certain budget things and force something to get passed. And yet historically it hasn't worked. They just end up passing a continuing resolution in the end anyways. Right? Which is why I think when you look back on the past ones, where I think it really was the Republicans that were kind of like, okay, we're gonna have a shutdown, right? This time it's the Democrats, and what are they angling for? It seems to me that the point is to just shut the government down. The Democrat Party wants the government to shut down because they think it will do harm to the economy. Like, they thought that the tariffs and everything was going to be so bad for the economy that it would really, really, really hurt Trump in the midterms in the next election. And then, their nightmare would be over. And that's not what happened. Like, the economy keeps trugging on in spite of all of the problems. Somehow. It's really kind of wild to think about. I can't believe that the economy is still going as strong as it is with like all of the white collar jobs just getting decimated. It's just certainly it's not helping me. So what are you going to do? Well, maybe a government shutdown can create a recession. Could be. And it kind of seems to me that's what they're trying to do. I'm not saying that to be political, like I'm a Republican and I want to hold the Democrats' feet to the fire on it. I mean, I am a Republican and I do have my political opinions, but I have kind of just come to the point of like, well, what's going to happen is what's going to happen, and I don't have any control over it. But maybe somewhere along the way we can make some money from it. Well, if the intention of a government shutdown here is to hurt the economy, and by the way, like, can consider Donald Trump is gonna like fire a ton of people. There are all of these jobs that he wanted to get rid of with Doge that he wasn't allowed to, that now that we are in a government shutdown, he is allowed to, and he's gonna do it. Like, that's like the first headlines you can hear today is he fires like X thousand workers. It's gonna happen. And that's going to be painful for the Democrats. That's going to be some of Democrats' most dedicated constituents taking direct pain from the government shutdown. They're still willing to do it. So once you consider that, it kind of is like, kind of makes me wonder if maybe the S&P 500 is a little bit, should be a little bit more hedged than it is for what might happen in the next few weeks from a shutdown. Would that mean buying in the treasuries as well? It could. But you're still going to have, like, this is fiscally irresponsible selling in the treasuries as well. So that makes it a more difficult trade in the treasuries. First target for the 30-year is 12. I don't know. At the moment, the activity that I'm seeing is kind of like there's a lot of movement, but I'm not actually seeing like a ton of participation on it. So it does kind of look to me like just market maker games, trying to possibly make up the losses from the big jump up that we just had. So if they're going to make a move up to 12, it's going to be a while first, I think. And we do have some other stuff today, don't we? Yeah, we have US S&P manufacturing PMI final, and then we have US ISM manufacturing PMI at 8 o'clock. That one's important. That one's very, very important. Previous reading of 48.7. They're looking for a reading of 49. I would kind of suspect that manufacturing got worse in the past month, so 49 seems a little high to me. Could be wrong about that one. That one's a hard call. One of the issues that I'm starting to deal with when trying to predict some of these numbers is that, like, the lag is, like, significant enough that it's hard for me to tell, because I have to know exactly, like, the time period that the data was collected over and all of that sort of stuff to kind of sort in my mind what it might actually be. So I don't know if I'd be very good at predicting that one. I've made some good calls on PMIs in the past, right? I think that the PMIs has been the one that I've been the best at. So I think it's not just like he says that all the time. No, I think in this case I'm a little bit more wary about it. But that gives us an hour. Okay, so if the 5 can make a new high, then it would pull the others up. Now on that point, what has the spread been doing here? Okay, a steepened off of the ADP news, but then have been mostly flat since then. Oh, now that's interesting. So, when I look at our inventory cost basis, so this is actually a really good instance to kind of understand what the inventory cost basis does and tells us. Because essentially you had like a big jump there, right? But like the market makers don't really take they don't really put a lot of liquidity out there, right? That's why it jumps. And so the models, they're basically saying, you know, when on the move up, that the longs took profits. That's why when you look at this line right here, the cost basis goes down. Okay. So let's just kind of discount this. And let me draw a straighter line. Okay. So let's just put a line there. From that line, what are we doing in the cost basis? Slow and steady market makers accumulating inventory short. That's curious, isn't it? And quite a bit as well. So here's a question for you, Uzi. In this situation, it feels to me like you're more interested in the it breaks and pushes out to another, you know, like to the 12 area, right? Why are you more interested in that scenario? And what do you think the downside scenario would be? Like the mean reversion downside scenario? Because maybe it's that the 30-year just doesn't get there, the 5-year caps it, and we come back down to like the extended session levels. I'm a little bit nervous noting that the market makers seem to be accumulating inventory like that hard. It seems a little unusual to me. Not that it's really changed their inventory cost number, which is also curious, but That's just the way I see it. At this point, the mean reversion trade is the lowest risk, highest reward trade of the day. So I'm assuming you weren't long for the news already. Ouch. I don't know if you know what though? Okay, that's an interesting thing to bring up. Because I'm not saying that this is right or wrong. I'm just saying, like, how does Seth tend to operate? Seth tends to operate on ignoring what the risk to reward ratio is on something, right? Seth operates on what is more likely to happen more than anything. And I think I'm kind of saying that some of the signs that I'm seeing is that the most likely thing to happen is a push down. I think, like, when it comes to, like, especially like momentum strategies like that, risk reward matters, because essentially the reason those strategies make money is not because they're predictive, but because when they do make money, they make so much that it just, you know, wipes out all of the previous losses from it not working so many times. But when we get onto intraday basis, mean reversion is a more significant force. That's what part of where a lot of my problems come from is I'll get a runner and I want it to run, and then it will retrace so much that it's just like, man, this is just brutal. And so you kind of have to come to this point where it's like, okay, if I take if I do catch a winner, I do have to know where to take it off. Not knowing where to take it off, and I lose like half of the profits every time, and and then the strategy doesn't work, right? So that's why for day trading, I've, you know, well, I mean, I come from it from a different direction, but that would be an argument for that for day trading. You really want to take trades on when you really think you have a good chance of something happening, and not necessarily just because the risk reward on it makes sense, right? I think that if there's a push to new highs, it'll be small. Yeah. Question to me, though, is does Seth... Oh, okay, so first of all, let's make sure that we have algo on. The 30s are selling kind of hard. I think you have to discount that because the spreads are steepening. So you're going to see selling in the 30-year. And I don't think that the amount... It's a 4,000 contracts net sell from the peak. That's not that significant. Okay, so like if I go down through what like our framework, what are the flows that we got here? So let's just, even though I don't think that we really have a whole lot of empirical data to support this, and we're just kind of going off of some of our recent observations, let's just take it on faith that the way that the options are a significant enough force here that it's a flow that we can consider. So one of the flows that we got is selling mean reversion flow from options. One of the flows that we've got is risk off flows both because of the government shutdown, but then probably more so because of the ADP news that we just had. And another flow is going to be hedging for the PMIs. I'm not exactly sure which way those would be, but I think that that's definitely got to be a major flow. And then there is going to be some selling on, this whole government shutdown is fiscally irresponsible. So when I combine all of those things together, I don't think that I really have a clear imbalance from that. Although I do think that I would be favoring the mean reversion trade still. But then, like, the big thing from the flows is that the PMIs are going to be pretty big. So I think that my prediction has to be that we're just going to be really constrained for the next hour. Do I feel strongly enough about that to be willing to, like, put myself down? I think I am. Oh, you know what? This isn't the one that we want. Stream logs. Okay. I think it is unlikely he will breach opening range before 9:45 PMI news. So if we break out before the PMI, because maybe the PMI will move, the first PMI will move us, we'll see. And of course, if we say there could be news, change that. So if there's news, then that doesn't invalidate me, right? If it happens because of news, then, it's just no payout, right? But if there's no news and we get to 9:45 PMI and it hasn't moved, then I'm right. Fair enough. Shall we? And we'll just list these yellow markers in CN. Okay. Interesting. A little bit of an iceberg at 27, even though we've already been there for a while.
Order submitted.
Okay, well, the robot wants to go along. I don't like the trade. It is in a place where the market order imbalance is going around a lot. So I doubt that it's going to get a good trade here. From r/futures trading, how many tick chart do you use for day trading MES? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Tech charts, volume charts, the range charts, they make the charts look nicer, but There's no real edge in short-term charts anyways, so it doesn't really matter. What matters more is just being able to remember what that has happened. If I were looking for a downside target on seeing it'd be 21. You have a shot at evens. Wow, you really think so? All the way back down to 112 even? That would have to be a pretty big move though. Who knows? Maybe I'm going to be proven wrong. The robot, he picked up on the long. It's already up 2 ticks. By the way, is there a way to change so that, you know, it tells me, oh, I made 2 ticks, but really I would like it to tell me I made, well, it doesn't tell me in ticks. It tells me in price. I hate that. Can you change that? I don't think you can change that. Maybe properties? I kind of feel like that there's too many different settings windows for a chart in InterTrader. You know what I mean? So if you open chart trade, oh, that's the data box. Wrong one. I put the chart trader on. Gonna go properties here. Ooh, hey, there is properties for chart trader. Display unit ticks. Yeah, that's what I want. Okay. Oh, we want chart trader hidden. There we go. Amir, how are you? Oh, I'm doing okay. 2 to 5 look like they're about to give up. Oh, you mean on moving higher? Well, I think it doesn't look good for me at the moment because I said it's not going to move. It's not going to breach those highs. And then when the robot took a long, I said, I don't like the long. And it's up 2 or 3 ticks on it already. So that's looking like a fool right now, isn't he? Now, you know, by the way, interestingly enough, during all of this time, the Japanese yen has been like winding up in a tight ball. Do you see that? See that little... Like, they've been trading a wider range in the Japanese yen since this snows. It's a little unusual. I also seeing some selling in gold. That's also curious. Some interesting flows going through here. Is it still, with this move up, the change in cumulative delta is not too great. Usually the way that this works out for the robot in this, like the reason why I don't like the trade, even now I still don't like the trade, is because it will flip around. Like there's a little bit of a buying, right? And then that's going to flip around. And by the time the robot gets short on the other side, it'll lose like a tick. That's probably what's going to happen. So I'm sticking to my guns, even though I think I look a little silly at the moment. Oh man. I'm just browsing through Reddit a little bit to see news or anything, and there's this one thread on recruiting hell where I don't know if I can read the whole thing, but basically the guy is like, "Oh, this job market is deadly. Like, if you don't have family or marital help, don't quit your job. You will be homeless and die on the streets." Okay, it's a little bit extreme, bro. A little bit extreme, bro. Oh yes, that's right. The whole like all of the military generals congregated yesterday thing happened, and it wasn't really a big deal. It kind of makes me wonder, like, okay, was it worth it? Was it worth it, Hexet? I don't know. Again, I've kind of come to like, what happens, happens. I'm not going to change it. I'm tired of caring. Maybe I can make some money along the way. But when it comes to appointments, I'm a little bit skeptical of Hegseth and Bondi. Kind of sitting here going like, I don't know if they actually know what they're doing. Like optics are important and everything. Well, I mean, let's not say optics are important. Optics matter. Like the message that you project as a leader matters and everything. But you're kind of going a little bit too far to try and achieve that. It doesn't reflect well. Makes your leadership look weak. Why are you tired of Karen? What did she do? Dude, I am a little bit burnt on what I see online, man. Because it really is just like there's like two things that'll bother me. One is the extremism where they don't do anything about it. Because we've gone through this whole period when it was Joe Biden, you know, saying that everything remotely conservative is extremism. Which is just absolutely crazy. And then meanwhile, I'm getting on social media and like every thread, I just see the most unhinged, crazy stuff being posted all the time. And you know, I don't think that is a good thing for society. I don't think that that's a good sign for society, let's say. But they're not doing anything about it right now, right? So that's the one thing. And the other thing that bothers me is just the internet seems to get stuck in the same loops, you know. Like a good example, this one's not really going on right now, but a good example is like, well, to solve the housing crisis, we need to prevent corporations from being able to buy homes. That's probably my biggest pet peeve one. When you see that, you can basically be sure that whoever is sharing that has no fucking clue what they're talking about. Okay? Like, just think about it in our market. Like, there's treasuries, right? And what does Seth do? Seth is a speculator. So Seth, he comes in and he buys it. When he comes in and he buys a treasury, that's a treasury that somebody that needed to buy a treasury could have bought instead. So I'm increasing prices for people that want to buy treasuries, right? But why is Seth buying treasuries? Seth is buying treasuries because he knows, or at least he thinks he knows, that other people are going to buy it behind him. Right? And in other words, Seth does not create the imbalance. Seth comes in and trades because he knows the imbalance is going to come. I'm exacerbating, as you know, if my buying was that significant of a force, then I would only be exacerbating a problem that already exists. Right? So you cannot get the price of homes to come back down to reasonable levels without building more homes. It's just that simple. Like it's not only as just that that's the answer, but it's like it's the only answer. All of this other stuff, there, you know, you can make some changes around the edges. Maybe those will help. They won't help. They will not solve the problem unless you build more houses. But these people, they just get stuck in this loop on it over and over and over again. And they're talking about the same stupid thing that doesn't. And then things that I think would be important to talk about don't get talked about. I post about them on TikTok. Nobody cares. That's frustrating to me. So, yeah, I'm kind of like, you know what, internet? Screw you guys. You're just too stupid. You get what you get. You're gonna get what you deserve. Pivia says, I'm looking to sell 113 evens for some dealer option reposition. Okay. Well, 113 evens. Well, we didn't get there. I tell you what, man, it was looking really bad for me for a second, but we did not breach the high. So, we did not breach the high. Here's some people arguing about the whole Bad Bunny Super Bowl halftime show thing. Which, like, I've never heard of that guy before. Should I be embarrassed that I don't know who that is? Maybe I've heard their song music before and I just don't realize it. I've never heard that name before. I think regardless of whoever it is or why I should like or dislike them, that we should just have Daft Punk do the Super Bowl halftime show. That's what should happen. Can you imagine how awesome that would be? Like the all-time greatest Super Bowl halftime show ever. Daft Punk Super Bowl. Let's do it. That'd be awesome. Hey, maybe not this year. You know, like they got this Bad Bunny guy. You know, you already made your choice. They're probably gonna stick to it. Okay, but next year, Daft Punk. That'd be so fucking awesome. Daft Punk, and then they can turn like the entire field into one giant LCD screen. Be so sick. Let's see here. What are you saying, Izzy? Large trades executed at 28 in the 10-year. Oh, I don't. Okay, and 14.5 in the 5 on the bids. So it's either done or it's going high. Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say like, but like I thought you were implying that that's a good sign that like they're gonna break it. But no, you're totally right. Yeah. No, we see that one all the time, don't we? Right? So it's like when you break through the big iceberg at the top, which is hard to do, right? That means that there's either a buyer that's really, really big and he just really wants to keep pushing it, or that means that they're done. They're done and it's going to come back the other way. And I mean, it did kind of pull back after that, didn't it? Didn't it? But we're getting another. Oh, okay. Actually, this is a little bit more interesting. Because of that huge bid at 27.5. So that kind of looks like a spoof. Like that is the first time in a long while that I've noticed something that I thought could be a spoof where they could play out like that. So it's a little curious, first of all. But then also, I think that the timing of it is a little bit suspicious. Like, why would it be you had a attempt at the highs, It's come back a little bit, and now you want to show your big bid. Why would you do that? And why at this time? So it's like 13 minutes before the S&P 500 opens. You've got news in 30 minutes. You got even bigger news in 45 minutes. Like that. So why would there be a large player looking to make a huge move like that? That makes zero sense to me. So I think high probability that it is a spoof. And as such, I would be very concerned about there being big offer icebergs
Order
and then
canceled.
it flipping down. So let's see. They took it bid at 28.5 there for a brief moment and traded quite a bit through. Enough to actually trigger my algo, in fact. So I'm afraid that my algo is going to get tricked here. Okay, by the way, the bid here is not quite as high as it was. In fact, it's almost normalized. It looks like maybe still some iceberging at 28.5, in fact. No, they're still not putting a strong bid there. I think we could recenter things so that we can remember this spot a little bit better. And the 2-year sure does look like it wants to make a breach. I wouldn't say too much, but it is. Okay, so that's the first time that I think we've been able to see like the 1,500 and now 2,000 to be able to bid. So that's a good feather in their cap. Will we see some hits at 29? Nibbling on it. It looks like the 5 year's not quite ready. Right, like they're not holding a strong bid at 15 quarter yet. And in fact, every time that volume hits that, you're hearing clicks in the 10-year. I think here, so if I think it's a spoof, I don't think that the play is sell 29. I think that the play is let it pop and then go short. Yeah. The spoof isn't really there anymore though. Like they did, it seems to me like I think that spoof was somebody wanted their offer to get filled, and they were able to make it happen. This is what I think happened there. So, it might, what it does from here might have nothing to do with that spoof now. I don't think that the spoof is as big of a factor now. Sure is. It's been a long time since I've kept my eye on the 5-year this hard. I think there's a real battle going on there at 15 quarter. Well, they cleared it. Well, it's just not able to hold though. Okay, that tick was a little bit different. Now I think maybe it will actually go. Oh no, your power's about to be shut off. Oh, I miss you, Uzi. They're doing equipment repair. Oh, okay. Well, they're still fiddling around with that 15 quarter. So depending on whether the bid is larger or the offer is larger there in the 5-year, I'm seeing large orders move around in CB. Where is that? Where do I have those? I got it somewhere around here. Because it's making the sound. Market depth. Okay, so it is about 1,000 contracts being stacked, taken on and off at 2 ticks. Oh, at 30. Okay. So those guys at 30 are being a little flighty. But look, they stacked at 15.5. I think that's good for... I think it is going to pop here. I'm not wrong yet. Nobody's traded. One of you guys has to hit it at 30 for me to be wrong. Don't do it. Don't do it, guys. Don't, please. Please don't do it. Tick back down. No. Don't hit it. Don't hit it. They're gonna hit it. Once that's over 2,000, there's no way that they're not gonna hit it. There you go. I'm wrong. Seth was wrong. Well, it was a little bit of a gutsy call, wasn't it? Yeah. Like I said, there I was like, should I say this? I don't know if that's gonna. Why not? No, but I was wrong. They said around 10, and I don't know how around. Yeah, around 8. It's like, okay, now the 30-year hasn't breached yet. Because given the current trend, you would think that they would get to that 12, 13, right? Oh. Trump pulls his BLS nominee. Oh. Do we see that on oh, that's interesting. Reddit plunges on new traffic data suggesting ChatGPT massively reduced citations. That's interesting. So the guys at OpenAI realized that ChatGPT was relying on Reddit a lot for its information, and so they changed that. Okay, let's see here. Uzi is picking up on that too and has a link for us. This is okay. Consensus Gurus on Twitter. Be Reddit, self-proclaimed front page of the internet. 2025 still hyping itself as the voice of the people, but overplayed their hand hard. Platforms a woke liberal echo chamber. Mods ban anything that doesn't fit the script. Subreddits like r/politics and world news read like a DNC press release. Zero grip on reality. User base skews hard left. Downvotes dissent into oblivion. Karma's a loyalty test. X posts mock Reddit as a hug box for blue-haired keyboard warriors with no connection to the real world. And then they IPO in 2024, which was a flop. Stock's a meme, trading like a penny stock with extra steps. Yes, although we should note that since the IPO, they have done okay. Ad revenues tanking. Brands ditch the platform over censorship scandals and bot infestations. 30% of top subs are controlled by some 100 power mods per 2023 data leaks. Yep. Free speech claims dead after purging anything remotely spicy since 2020. Wall Street bets still pump stonks, but even they're drowned out by sanctimonious TED Talk vibes. Engagement is fake. Bots and shills upvote corporate propaganda to the front page. Users scream, "Eat the rich," while Reddit begs for venture capital to stay afloat. Valuations a house of cards. 6.5 billion debt looms. Investors smell blood. Reddit reflects the world. Narrative crumbling as normies flee to X for unfiltered tags. Their big innovation: snow avatars and awards for circle jerking in walled gardens. Stocks up to date, but it's a dead cat. Ounce in reality distortion field. Well, let's come over and check trading view. Product charts. Let's see here. It's symbol RDDT, right? It's kind of weird that you can remember tickers. Wow. Yeah, they're down big. So down well, from yesterday it was 30. So let's say 15%. Yeah. But if we go to a daily chart, what does that look like? Oh, okay. I was going to say, like, their IPO was kind of a dud. And then it was just kind of like, oh, well, we'll see where it goes. And then it, like, came all the way up to, like, the 200s, fell back, and then came all the way to 230. Like, that's some crazy volatility. Granted, the decline part here, I think you can kind of ignore that to some extent, because it was basically they got hit with the tariffs just like everybody else. So, you know, if that hadn't happened, maybe it would have been like that, right? But they're reaching critical levels on the downside, so I do think that you could see some momentum trading shifts, right? It's curious, they did trade at 30, so I think we should say that I'm wrong, but they haven't been able to push past that yet, which is a little weird. Like, they're having a hard time with it, which kind of says, like, the reason for my trade. So like, my reasoning was maybe correct, and I was just wrong on the specifics of where it could go to, you know? I'm bargaining now, as that's what it is. No, look, by the way, I'm looking at myself in the camera and I'm like, is that too bright? I kind of feel like it's too bright, but then if I turn it down, it's going to be not bright enough, right? Oh, actually it is too bright because it should be 25. That's better. That's way better. Okay. Anyways, I would love to see Reddit stock just completely crash. By the way, there's beta.dig.com. New dig. Let's see here, it's processing. New dig's not bad. New dig's not bad. It's better than I don't know. There's just not the activity there. So like, if Reddit were to die and then Dig picked it back up, I think that'd be cool. Yeah, here it comes. Oh, I don't know. They totally took it now. There you go. There you go. Now I'm definitely a fool, right? Let's see here. Did the robot still have... Yes, he does. 5. Plus 5. Interesting. Oh, close all tabs. Leave. Oh, we need to go and change these. Should be V now, right? Maybe like that. October V. Oh no, it's Y. UY. Okay. Oh, wait, it is a V. I just can't see. The screen's too far away. Okay. I'm glad I did that because now I'm kind of thinking, well, how far away is 4%? Is 4% in our future? Well, in the 10-year, they're going to be gravitate towards that 113, which does kind of mean, so I think that what we had there was maybe a little bit of a stop run, right? There's going to be like some take profit before the 113 and some stops after that. Given the situation, like we got 15 minutes for the news, so it could happen. But then if like the news is bad, then it's definitely going to be like whoosh. On the other hand, maybe the reason they're buying it up is because they're making a play on the news, right? Although the critical level, like the really important level we're really looking at was still 117, 12, 13 in CB. Yeah, 5 to 170. It's interesting you're trying to make a call on all three of them. Is that because you have a trade on all three of them, or just... I mean, I think in this situation, you'd want to have your trade in the 5-year, right? Not that it ended up mattering in this case, but the spread is overall steepening, even though it hasn't really steepened since the... Oh, I get you. Hasn't steepened since the ADP, but it did steepen from the ADP. So based on that, you'd want to be buying in the 5-year. I didn't read the zero hedge story on this. Let me read that. Reddit shares are sinking in New York pre-market trading, and if the losses hold into the cash session, it would mark the steepest decline in 6 months. The drop comes after new similar web data indicated that ChatGPT has either scaled back or completely stopped using Reddit as a source for answer generation. Who would have ever guessed that relying on Reddit posts to generate chatbot answers was a brilliant idea? Several X-users are citing similar web data that shows Reddit's collapsing web traffic. This includes one X-user by the name of Bert Titan, who states that Reddit has dropped our US website DAU has dropped sharply after ChatGPT massively reduced Reddit citations. Traffic is now even close to early year levels. Multiple data vendors are all picking up the shift in ChatGPT citation patterns. Reasons still unclear, but one guess is that ChatGPT may be limiting web search for free accounts as a cost-cutting move to push monetization. Oh. Okay, so they're saying that like ChatGPT is just not linking to Reddit as much, and not necessarily that they're not using Reddit's data for training. TN posted an image showing Reddit's US daily active users on a 30-day average, indicating that around September 11 was a point when Reddit sources cited by ChatGPT dropped sharply. Apparently, ChatGPT is not using Reddit much anymore for their answers. I guess they realized that what random people say can't be considered a trusted source after all. You can all stop spamming it with your fake brand mentions now. Oh, my cites Wikipedia the most, 47.9%. Huh? So, ChatGPT relies heavily on Wikipedia and Reddit. Enough said. That's why Elon Musk revealed on Tuesday his plans to watch Grokpedia. And that's interesting because wasn't he at one point promoting that right-wing Wikipedia that has kind of ended up being too right-wing to be practical? Okay, and it looks like that the Treasuries have pulled back to that opening range. So, even though I think I made a bad call on it breaching the range, I think that we understand like what it's doing, why it might be doing it, and how that kind of behavior plays out fairly okay today, haven't we? Oh yeah, of course. Lucy has no trades because he's gonna have his power cut. I mean, in the end, it was fun to watch, wasn't it? It was fun to watch. Because I really don't think that it matters compared to what that PMI at the top of the hour is gonna be. What else is on Zero Hedge this morning? Halo Maker said in internal emails evidence of link to autism starting to feel heavy. Oh, you know what? I didn't even realize this week people like dropped the autism thing really quickly, didn't they? Maybe it's just me. Maybe the algorithm's just not showing it to me because I'm so stuck on the shooting that happened on Sunday, which also has kind of been dropped. I'm a little I want to know, because what I'm hearing, the story that I'm hearing now is like he crashed into the east side of the building and then walked around and started shooting people in the foyer on the west side, and that's where and I think that there are 2 confirmed fatalities. But then there is a report that a kid was shot. And I want to know if the kid is one of the 2 that have for sure died, or if they're like still in the hospital or what. I'm like expecting to get, it's Thursday. Oh, no, it's Wednesday. It's only Wednesday, but still, I'm expecting to get further updates, and haven't, and want to know because I'm really worried about them, you know. But then, like, I haven't really seen any TikToks with people arguing about autism. Probably was a good thing. I hope that people learned something about autism. I saw this video yesterday on one of the, like, you know, subreddits where people post weird things that they can't explain, sort of a thing. And it was like a car pulling up to a figure in the middle of the road. And some people in the comments were like, oh, it looks like somebody that's developmentally disabled or something. But I'm watching it and I'm like, no, that is a 7-year-old autistic child. Like, and it was a little bit distressing to me, honestly, that nobody in the thread recognized that that's what it was. Like, the kid is straight up doing like the autistic arm flap self, what do they call it? Stimming sort of a thing. And nobody picked up on that it was probably an autistic kid. Because Azure absolutely will, if you forget to lock the door, like close the hotel lock, will absolutely just go straight up outside and start wandering around. The scary thing. And he could, on occasion, wake up just like in the middle of the night and go downstairs. So like, I could totally see my kid being out there and then nobody realizes that that's what's happening and that they're in danger. A little distressing. A little distressing to me. But I also found a TikTok yesterday from a guy that was like, he takes care of his older autistic brother, which is basically exactly the situation we got with our boys. The older one is autistic and the younger one isn't. And I almost want to cry when I watch their videos. That some of them are so touching. Great minds, Max. No, I don't remember what their name was, to be honest with you. But it was pretty cool. Like, he sure loves his brother. This is one of these things that I don't think you would ever understand unless you were in the situation. Nah, it doesn't say better all the time. I bet you I could pop it up on TikTok. It would probably be like the first thing it would show me. Nah, the brother is completely nonverbal. He can say like yes and no, and that's it. The account's name is Caden Troy. The brother with the account is ripped. He's a big guy. He's a bodybuilder. Anyways, like, absolutely, we want to do any kind of research we can to like reduce the incidence of autism, because it's a very difficult thing to live with. Like even mild autism has a pretty profound negative impact on your life. And then, the more profound versions of autism are a pretty big burden on the family itself, right? Because that is a person that will have to be cared for their entire life. And you have to watch them really closely. So there can be multiple causes for autism. There could be some instances where, like the mother got sick and the inflammation might be, why they got autism. Could be certain medications could increase the chances of autism. But probably the majority of it is genetic. Okay. So, unless we get into gene splicing, right? You take your genes and you pass it into this supercomputer, and then it would tell you what the chances of the child being autistic or something. And we start doing Gattaca sort of stuff, right? Otherwise, probably autism is going to be there. And it doesn't really help for the people, like the families that are dealing with it right now. Like, I think some people have this idea that, like, we're going to invent some miracle drug, or we're going to find some miracle substance that's harming everybody, and you change that, and then they'll all just be cured. Probably not. Probably not going to work that way, because it's probably mostly genetic. So the reality is that Asher, my autistic son, is the way that he is. And we can only just deal with what it is from there. And learning to just accept and enjoy what is, even though it's not what you wanted, is a valuable thing to learn that you have to learn. And you learn to love them even more because of that, maybe. And that's when I see this guy, this Caden
Order
guy,
submitted.
like that's what I see is like that's his life. That's the only life he's ever known because he was the younger brother, and he embraces it fully, and that is so amazing to watch. Just talking about it makes me want to tear up. What was that? Oh, it took a short. I see. It did make money on that one though. So if we take the one bad trade that it had, which I think it, oh no, it still says that the realized trading is like 906. How does it get to that? Oh, because of commissions. So how many did it take? Executions. Yeah, it looks to me like it lost like 2 on each one of these, and then it made 4 on this last one. So it's kind of interesting. Like there's definitely something to this where if you can filter out, this could be a really effective algorithm. So let's see. ADP payrolls unexpectedly crater to negative 3,200, worst since March 2023 and below all estimates. Anything else on here? No. Climatism in Europe is dying, they claim. Stuff about the Gaza plan. It's the Gaza plan sounds like an okay plan. Sounds like Hamas is not going to take it. Stuff's going to get crazy over there. We'll see how it goes. Scan this article real quick. Despite the strong economic growth we saw in the second quarter, this month's release further validates what we've been seeing in the labor market, that U.S. employers have been cautious with hiring, said ADP chief Nella Richardson. As shown in the next chart, the decline was broad-based. So with Friday's payrolls delayed and with ADP traditionally viewed as an unreliable source of information, expected data-hungry traders to scour the interwebs for every possible third-party provider of employment and labor data in hopes of figuring out just how bad the labor slide truly is. Ooh, so could it be the case that like the labor market is getting even worse right now, and because of the shutdown and other things that are all happening at exactly the right time for us to not see it until it's definitely too late? Except for that, we're probably going to get a cut at the next meeting anyways, so... Spoos started out on a buy and have come back. So see, if I'm wondering if the S&P 500 decides to take a further dive. Oh, you know what? How come I didn't hear this on the news squawk? They must have said, did it, and I just didn't notice. But the S&P manufacturing PMI came in line with estimates. Yeah, the Treasuries did not react to that one at all. Did not move at all when that came out. So. I really think the news at the top of the hour is going to be a significant data point, but given my luck today, that's going to be, it's going to be a complete dud and nothing happens, right? Okay, so the reason I went on that whole little bit, I'm being ADHD, aren't I? So the whole thing was as I was looking for information on the BLS nominee. Maybe if I go to CNBC. There we go. It's like all the way down at the bottom of the page. But CNBC has the story. The Trump administration has withdrawn its nomination of conservative economist E.J. Antoni as head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the White House said on Tuesday. President Donald Trump nominated Antoni last month to lead the Bureau, which is part of the Department of Labor and produces statistics closely watched by the markets after firing the agency's head, Erica McNafar, I don't know how to say her name. It's just going to sound like McFarter. And accusing her without evidence of manipulating the Bureau's figures. Whenever I see a news outlet say without evidence, I'm immediately like, okay, so you're trying to put your thumb on the scale. Antoni is a brilliant economist and American patriot that will continue to do good work on behalf of our country, the White House said in a statement, promising the president will announce a new nominee very soon. The Senate committee overseeing the Labor Department never scheduled a confirmation hearing, and on Tuesday, Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska said she remained concerned about Antoni's nomination. A person familiar with the nomination said several other Republicans expressed similar hesitation. CNN, yeah, you know what? Like, if I'm not saying that there's something about him that I think is like really bad, that I don't want him in there. But what I didn't like was that he is, well, here, we'll just read it. Tony currently serves as chief economist at the conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation, and has been a critic of the BLS, whose monthly job market and inflation report is used by a global audience of economists, investors, and business leaders, public policy makers, and consumers. So, like, I think that the most important thing in a nominee here is to restore confidence in U.S. economic data, and putting such a political pick in there, somebody that is so partisan, is not the way that you build that confidence. So there's not anything about him that, I don't, some opinion or way that he views markets that I think is wrong. I don't know that much about him. It's just that alone, him being the lead economist at the Heritage Foundation, I think means that he is not the right pick, because it's too political of a pick. Okay. But that's what I was kind of looking for, was like, why did they not do it? And I guess enough Republicans expressed concerns about him that they decided to go back to the drawing board. But maybe they can go and they can find somebody that will bring that confidence. I don't know who that person would be because I'm not in that world, but let's hope that they do that. 'Cause I'm a little bit irked about everybody on Reddit saying, well, but is the data not good anymore? It's only been a month, guys. Good grief. By the way, we are seeing interestingly weak liquidity below us in the 10-year. I'd say there are some weak spots up here too, but there's definitely an imbalance there. Probably doesn't matter because we're about to get news here in 3 minutes. But maybe that is some robots taking their liquidity off early. I could see that happening. By the way, we do have it on. Yeah, okay. So it should exit the trade before the news correctly. It's one of the things that we're looking for. Wow. Okay, this is going to be an interesting thread for me to read. Change my
Order
view.
failed.
Okay, there we go. Just exited. Change my view. Society would start to heal quite rapidly if we just banned Twitter, TikTok, and most social media. You know what? I think maybe. But I don't think that you have to ban TikTok, Twitter, etc., etc., etc. You just have to make rules about the algorithms. That you cannot, your algorithms cannot, what would be the word? Cannot optimize towards engagement based on negative feelings. Something like that. You know, like one of the things is like with the misinformation thing, and maybe it's just I'm different from other people because I spend a lot more time online and like really looking through and like trying to verify everything. But I kind of feel like that on the internet that the correct answer does eventually win out. Because it's just how many people get the wrong answer and that never keep looking, you know. I think that more effort should be put into social media that encourages close collaboration among a small group of people instead of trying to put everybody in one huge bucket and to scream at each other. Okay, the robots are definitely pulling now. Remember, we're looking for a reading of 49. We got 49, spot 1. So, slightly better than expected for the ISM. Okay. So I'm, well, they're selling off a little bit on that, but, you know, I was kind of like, I think that's a little high. Okay, well, they actually were almost spot on. So it did end up being also what I was worried about, which was like the number comes out and it's not big. Yeah. So interesting. Well, guys, we are higher today off of the ADP, and that is a significant thing to note. Hi, it's our Korean friend. How are you doing? Everything going over? You know, it's been interesting because since that time, the K-pop movie or whatever it was, yeah, it was a movie on Netflix, came through, and everybody's talking about K-pop stuff now. I want to go. I tell you what, like I'm dealing with a thing like haven't been hired on full time. When I finally get a full time offer, I am absolutely going to a Korean barbecue place to celebrate. But you gotta come in. You gotta come a little earlier, bro.
Because this is when I end. So, maybe tomorrow, huh?
Order
Okay, so
submitted.
I will see you guys. Well, and then now my robot is taking another trade. So, we'll see. It's actually done pretty
Order
okay
submitted.
today, hasn't it? Should be. Oh, no, but still a little bit break even. Yeah, that's right. Because it lost a tick on this one. Anyways, we'll see. You know, it wasn't too bad. Hey, and there's Gus, too. I'll see you guys tomorrow, all right? Stay excellent, team.